Okay. And Bayan, Hanini, hi.
Yes, hi. I'm so sorry because I'm driving the car. Waiting. Hi, hi everyone. I am Bayan. I'm a psychologist, and I'm freelancer training for a mental health and trauma.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Nice to meet you. Um, actually, we were so, I'll just share the screen again. Sorry. Da-da-da-da-dum. This will go back. Okay, and also this. Okay. How do I get rid of this? Mm. I see too much stuff here and I can't. Okay. Um, what did I want to say? Okay. Uh, 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 uh. Okay, we already talked about the syllabus, so we can pass over. And these are the 2 dates that are a bit different, and we talked about it. This is not the link because the link that was supposed to be shared in the beginning was a Google Drive link, but Diana opened a really easy one on OneDrive. What's called whatever she sent to you, and that's where we're going to drop all the stuff. And the last thing we wanted to introduce ourselves is the place where we are coming from, each of us. And if you want to take a picture of the slide, you've got the phone numbers of every one of us. And in the future, if you would like to consult with us or to ask any questions, please use our phones, use our WhatsApps, and we'd be glad to share with you. Um, so we're all spread out all over Israel, and this is us, the how did we call the group? Breast for Peace, or Rest for Peace, or Breast for Peace, Rest for Peace, and there was another one that came out of these letters. So thank you to everyone, and yalla, I'm going to start now. Um, I'm just closing this lecture, and I'll open the next one. Okay, and the next one will be this one, oops, and הנפשות הצגה מההתחלה, והצג תצוגת מגיש. Okay, so today the talk is going to be, I would say, I hope you're not going to get bored, but it's policy, it's politics, it's very dry stuff, which usually is hard to talk because it's not in the soul. But on the other hand, this stuff that we're going to talk today about is the soul of Shuruk. Okay, friend. Just a minute, Shuruk is joining us. Shuruk and us, we know each other from our Rosanna project. Shuruk, are you there? Up. Okay. Little bit out. Okay, sorry. How do I do it? Okay. So these are the subjects that we're going to introduce today. All the names of all the AAP and all the policy might be foreign to you. But I think it's so important to understand where breastfeeding came from and why there's so much to do with the breastfeeding and what was the history of the global policies that developed. And unless we understand the links between all this, it's hard to understand why it's so important and why it's important to go with this type of policy and not with other types of policy. And I really hope, I know that the situation also in Israel is not so good in breastfeeding, but also in your area, it's not very good. But it will take about 10, 20 years to achieve a change. But the start is promising, and I really hope that this is going to be the continuation of the start, because Shireen already did a lot to start the whole thing. My English sounds very well, but when I have to translate lectures, then I'm starting to stutter. So I really, really apologize. And yalla, let's start. Okay, we already introduced ourselves. So the next thing is, please enjoy yourself. This is the reason, one of the reasons we are starting. Can you hear that?
No, we don't hear.
Sorry?
We don't hear.
You
No.
don't hear the music? Ooh, what do I do? Do you know? Maya?
גבי, אני חושבת שקצת מאוחר. בואי נפעיל את זה בלי המוזיקה
Okay.
בשלב הזה.
Okay, just watch the video. I'll sing it. It's actually gibberish, what they're saying, but they're talking about mama, mama, mama is everywhere. All the animals have got mamas. They've got mamas. All the mammals are breastfeeding. Mama, mama. Mama. So this is a lovely, lovely, lovely UNICEF little film, and this explains why we have to start with the whole policy. And the first policy I'm going to introduce is the policy of the American Academy of Pediatrics, which are writing a lot of policy statements about children's health. And they, for years, have been renewing their statement about breastfeeding and human milk. And this is the latest advertising. And I'm going to start with a new policy that they wrote in 2022. And I like it very much because it talks about actually all the importance and not about the past, but it's very practical. So the American Academy are talking about the breastfeeding as the normal standard. Everything that we use in the world, we are comparing to breastfeeding. Breastfeeding is not better than something. Breastfeeding is the norm, okay? It's the baseline. And then everything we do is compared to the breastfeeding, and this is a very unique way to look at it. The Academy of Breastfeeding is suggesting to feed the babies full breastfeeding or breast milk giving approximately 6 months, sort of 6 months for healthy kids and for babies that got born in term and 40 weeks sort of. And after that, they recommend to have breast milk, including everything else they eat, but breastfeeding is going to lead the baby and the infant and the toddler at least for 2 years. And all these recommended are based on based evidence that are showing the disadvantages of not breastfeeding for so many aspects, which I'm going to talk about in a very slight way. So, first of all, babies and sick infants, for them, the breast milk is important as even more important than anything. And if it's not the mother's milk, then it should be bank storage milk. In Israel, we have a new bank for breast milk, which is still growing and establishing. And what they say is that most of the medications and most of the sicknesses is good, is allowed to be breastfed by, except of some very, very few conditions, which we're going to talk about later, which are like HIV, in HIV and some others. So the AAP is calling the whole society to see the breastfeeding as a public health program and not just a private decision, which is nice. But for succeeding, you need a whole support from the whole system with laws, with education, and with policy that is promoting breastfeeding. The key principles for breastfeeding is that breastfeeding is something unseparated from the kid's health, and the breast milk is the first food, even though we don't relate to breast milk as food because we refer it like nourishment and not food. Nourishment answers to a lot of needs, if it's obviously food needs, but more of that immunological needs, spiritual needs, education needs, development needs, stress needs. It's an answer, or it covers a lot of areas. And again, as I said, 6 months fully breastfeeding is very much recommended, and continuing breastfeeding with food up till at least 2 years, which is very much linked to all our religions, okay? In the Islam, obviously, it's recommended to breastfeed till age of 2. Also, the Judaism is very much promoting breastfeeding till age of 2, and many situations they even promote breastfeeding the Judaism till 4 years. And if a baby is sick or the toddler is sick, they also suggest breastfeeding till age of 5 years. And in the Christianity, they don't, in the scripts, they don't talk about breastfeeding, but all the churches and everywhere you go and you see their art, you see toddlers, really big toddlers, breastfeeding. So the subtext is, this is the normal, this is the normality. This is a slide that I took from the last conference that I've been 2 weeks ago. And the unique thing about the 2022 statement is that we have to notice and we have to see our language instead of saying, and it makes a lot of difference if you say, look, breastfeeding is better because A, B, C. Breastfeeding is better because this and this and this. It's like we're comparing, if we say so, it's like we're comparing the breastfeeding to something, really outstanding up there. But no, breastfeeding is the norm. Breastfeeding is the top. So everyone that is not breastfeeding is putting itself in a risk. And this is the language we're going to try to adopt also here in Israel, because it takes time to change the language. And so let's start to change our language as well. So here we're talking about the policy in health disbenefits, okay, for the baby. If a baby breastfeeds, or if a baby doesn't breastfeed, there's much higher a chance for developing illnesses like URI, tract low and upper URIs, otitis media, diarrhea. There's much more chance for SIDS, for Rett syndrome, when a baby doesn't breastfeed. And obviously you see in everything which is saying here, what is taught here is talking about meta-analysts about every saying that they say. Non-breastfeeding kids are much more entitled to have obesity, and if you don't see it now, you will see it in the future when they are 40, 50, 60 years old, including blood vessel disease, etc. And mothers that don't breastfeed, they're much more in risk for breast cancer post
Menopause.
Yeah, post-menopause breastfeeding, breast cancer, they're much more in risk, and also ovary cancer, diabetes, etc., and depression, prenatal depression, because breastfeeding as well is so full of hormones, which is the norm. So if the mother doesn't breastfeed, she's lacking a lot of hormones and she's completely imbalanced in everything she does. The importance of breastfeeding for the baby's health shows that unbreastfed babies are in higher risk of contagious various diseases, as I said, much more hospitalization, or let's say the opposite. Non-breastfed kids, yes, they have got much more hospitalization, more deaths because of their condition, more SIDS, as we said. Preemies have got much more in risk of having the neck syndrome, is a bowel syndrome that is, if you're not working with preemies, it's a complication that they have because they were born too early. And non-breastfed kids are shown very widely with a lower IQ. It's the fact that when a baby breastfeeds, the whole surrounding for his brain is the norm. He gets what he's supposed to get from all aspects to active the brain. When the baby doesn't get it, then his potential lowers down. So it's not that babies are breastfeeding smarter. They're just not achieving the opportunity to utilize whatever they've got in the brain. And they can develop in the brain, like bowel system, protected in 50% whoever is breastfeeding, and 72% percentage of the cases that are hospitalized from bowel system, and 57% of the hospitalization is due to respiratory diseases, which is much less happening when the baby is normally breastfeeding. And you can see also the SIDS syndrome, the sudden death syndrome, is lower within 36 till 50% cases than babies that are not breastfeeding. So you see how much it's in all aspects as you see it. You have to do a policy that enables the opportunity for the baby to achieve these goals. Okay. We talked about that as well. And we talked about that as well. I just mean, sorry. You're the opposite way. Okay. And about the breastfeeding, when the mother is breastfeeding, as everyone probably knows, we're passing also immune cells, all kinds of immune cells that are developed since ever because the mother is already fully developed. But not only that, when someone in the family has got a flu or someone in the family has got a bowel system virus, the mother's getting exposed, but because of her system, her immune system is so developed, immediately she starts to develop immune system, her immune system and nogdanim, no, and antibodies. The baby is not ripe yet. He can't do it yet. So the mother is immediately sending already antibodies and immune system to the baby, which can't do it in the right moment. And they have to wait actually for 6 years till the baby is ripe enough and ready enough to send for his own with his antibody system and his protection system. And when you see it in kindergarten or when kids are getting together, you see how often babies are getting sick just because they got involved with other kids. They constantly sick. And as the kid grows, and he goes to primary school, then suddenly, okay, they get sick, but they don't get sick that often because their own system is already independent, much more than in the infancy and when they're toddlers. And Anna's joining again. Okay. Okay, here we can see a graph which I also took from the last conference we have. The graphs of children that are in higher or lower risk. I mean, as long as the baby is breastfeeding, they've got a lower chance of not achieving the milestones in development. Okay, you see the kids that are not breastfeeding, they can't achieve the milestones as well. And even if you say, okay, but my kid is very, very, very developed and he achieved all his milestones, you don't know what he would have achieved if he would breastfeed. He would be in a different situation than without breastfeeding. And again, I'm reminding that this is all based evidence in meta-analytic researches. The importance for the mother is very, very vital. Like, as I said before, these are all conditions that a non-breastfeeding mother is much more exposed to. And it's such a protection. If someone has got a question about one of these slides or one of these illnesses, please just interrupt me. But you can see that 4% less of women that can develop cancer. If a mother breastfeeds a year, she already reduces the chance for, it's really hard to talk the other way, the other language. A non-breastfeeding mother, a breastfeeding mother, like I'll say it this way, a breastfeeding mother, which is breastfeeding a whole year, 1 year, she's reducing the chance for breast cancer in 26%. And above a year of breastfeeding, you see even 35% compared to women that didn't breastfeed, etc. The same percentage or very close percentage you can see with about diabetes too. 32 percentage less in risk than women that didn't breastfeeding, and so it goes on in many other cardiovascular diseases and cholesterol situation and lipids and all that, which is a circumstances in the future. You can't see that in the beginning, but you can see it later on, and the outcomes are coming out when they're much, much elder, and not just in these days. So therefore, the policy, what are they actually recommending as practical recommendation? First of all, the hospital should adopt the 10 steps of breastfeeding, successful breastfeeding. Does anyone here doesn't know about the 10 steps? Just say yes, because I can't see you.
Yes.
You haven't heard. Sorry?
We all know it, the baby-friendly hospital, the 10.
Okay, okay. And about the WHO code of marketing?
Any hospital in West Bank is a baby-friendly hospital?
Just the government.
All government?
لا لا لا
If they are giving a free samples of a formula, that means they are not baby-friendly.
I will talk about it much more deeply later on, okay? I just wanted to know if it's familiar. I mean, to announce something and to say, yes, we are baby friendly or we're doing the 10 steps is one thing, but going practical, it's got a lot of little things that are very important, that each of them is linked to the way that a mother is not going to be exposed to the tempting of using formula. So first of all, for breastfeeding, for hospitals, they have got to adopt the 10 steps. In the clinics outside and the health system, also the 10 steps should be accomplished there, but the system should make sure that every mother and every baby can get the support and the help whenever they need it in breastfeeding. As well as in working places, if the working places would be aware about the importance for it, they would help the mothers to breastfeed or to pump at work, because it's a win-win situation. Like if the mother pumps and gives them the breast milk to the kid is going to be less sick. Non-kids are getting much more sick. So it's a win-win situation that the working place will support mothers. And if it's just one or two working places, it's nice. But as a system to support or to benefit these working places, as a ESO or as a giving there an award for being baby-friendly working places, this is a very, very big saying.
Maybe let's ask, how long is maternity leave in West Bank?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. Yeah.
Ragda, maternity leave?
70 days, and we have in governmental workplace, we have 1 hour for breastfeeding. But in
governmental gets 1 hour, 17 days?
Yes.
20 days, which is 3 weeks?
No, 3 months.
3 months. Okay.
3 months.
Okay, okay, which means about 90 days. In Israel, it was also 3 months for a while, and then it changed in the last 10 minutes for almost 4 months, which is a little achievement. So, yeah, and there's a lot to go. And actually, the whole system should actually understand that if you want it to succeed, you need a protection from all organizations, and especially you have to protect the society from the aggressive promotion of formula, according to the code of marketing, which we'll talk about it a bit later. Here, the same idea about risks for mothers who are not breastfeeding are in higher risk for blood vessel diseases, heart diseases, etc. Again, not now, but in the later outcomes in their lives. And also the same with diabetes in pregnancy. Non-breastfeeding mothers in the next pregnancies are in higher chance to have diabetes. And you know that diabetic women very often get to diabetes type 2 later on. Anyway, breastfeeding mothers are much more protected against it compared to mothers who are not breastfeeding, that are not protected as well after they finish breastfeeding. Okay, this is something interesting that I mean, we knew it before, but it was mentioned in the last conference we had 2 weeks ago. Today we know that if you extract breast milk, colostrum, 2 weeks, even 3 weeks before delivery, like in the beginning, it's 1 drop. After 2 days, it's 5 drops, and then it becomes to 5 cc's, and then it comes to 10 cc's of colostrum. My daughter did it now before her labor, because I saw her in a high risk because she's got type O blood. And you know, if you have type O blood, you almost every time you develop ABO jaundice. So she started to take milk
Wait, Gabby,
out.
can you repeat, please? I have
Yes.
type O and I didn't understand.
But I don't understand.
Okay. Whoever is in a high risk for not breastfeeding, okay, which means ABO women or RH minus or diabetes or high blood pressure or cesarean, they know that they're going to have a cesarean, or they didn't succeed with breastfeeding, or they didn't have milk in the previous breastfeeding, or they had a lot of loss of blood. You know that the coming in of the breast milk, you know, in the beginning you've got fully colostrum for 2-3 days, which is very important to have, and then the mature, much more mature breast milk joins that amount of colostrum, and then day 3 you have much more milk, which is compatible to what the baby needs. But in these high risk situations, sometimes the milk doesn't come in till 5 days, 6 days, 7 days post delivery. And what was shown that in these high risk situations, unless you have placenta previa, unless you have bleeding problems or things that the compression would aggravate delivery, so unless that, or if the gynecologist says no, you can't have sex intercourse, then obviously it's also linked to breast oozing milk. But all the rest, if you start to twice a day, not with a pump, but with hand expression, twice a day, to take the colostrum out, whatever amount, a drop, 2 drops, it slowly gets bigger. First of all, you collect that colostrum in syringes or in little pipes, and you put it in the freezer, and so you have already a start to start with. And also it was shown that the amount of colostrum that the mother has in the first days is massive. I mean, my personal granddaughter, I mean, this is not an example, but this is my personal what I saw. She had so much colostrum, which was outrageous. I could hear from a kilometer just swallowing the colostrum because she did it. So this is a very good start to start with.
Gaby,
know,
maybe they want to ask question, or they want Laila to say it in Arabic. Maybe just if
yes,
you think it's
please.
not
I'll
clear,
stop sharing for a sec. Yeah,
or-
gladly. Anyone wants to?
Only if needed.
No, it's fun.
No.
Yeah.
We understand.
Okay.
We just
Okay.
surprised.
Yeah, and please stop me if something is not very understood. Gladly, I'll stop it. Just a minute again. Stuck. How do I go out of this again? I always forget how to. Just a minute. How do I get this off? Okay. So what we understand is that a healthy lifestyle, if we want to do healthy lifestyle and live really healthy, you start from the start. You don't start with the breastfeeding, you start even with a pregnancy, and you look at the whole aspects of nutrition of the mother and lifestyles of the mother, etc., and I'll explain why. So as a sort of a summary of the AAP point of looking, is breastfeeding is not an aim, okay? It's a tool, it's a strategy, it's a track to promote the health of the human being. But to make it enable, you have to convince everyone around for the same interest. If you need a reference model, you need a policy in a special hospital that they understand what it means, that they understand that if they're putting money in, they're going to get the money back later on. You have to see that breastfeeding is not food. Breastfeeding, as I said before, that is nourishing. It will pay back in the future with milestones, with psychology, with nutrition, with diseases. Food is one of the minus reasons, okay? All the rest of the reasons are the reason why it's worthwhile to promote this. So breastfeeding is regarded as the gold standard. Gold standard is something in any type of, whatever you look in the medicine, gold standard is a strategy that the health system is taking to compare any other strategy in medicine to that one, okay? If it's like, give me a gold standard check. If you make a blood check for diabetes, okay? So the blood check is the real blood check, and the A1C is the gold standard. The screening tests are sort of the track to that, but the gold standard is the check or the procedure or the tool or the machine you're using as the best thing for this special situation. So the gold standard for the beginning of life is breastfeeding, and you compare anything else to breastfeeding, not vice versa. The same thing is, I mean, the whole idea also talks about the growth charts. In the past, we used to have other growth charts, which showed a different way of track. I mean, it was also a track which was fast at the beginning and then a bit slow in the continuation, but suddenly all the breastfeeding kids were too thin, too small, and no, they were always intimidated by the system that their growth is not good enough because the kids were compared to non-breastfeed kids. WHO, they tracked after 9 areas in the whole globe: Japan, India, Norwegia, Norway, the States, and 9 places which we can think, oh, this is a third world country, and this is the first world country. And they saw, yes, there are differences in the growth of kids, but if you give the woman the better, I mean, the optimal, the gold standard way of living, which means clean water, which means sufficient dietary, sufficient health system, the kids are growing the same. I mean, it's not exactly the same, but the kids are growing within these charts. I mean, obviously you have bigger kids and smaller kids, but this is the rate. In the beginning, they accelerate more, and later on they accelerate less. And it's something unique to all kids all over the world. And that's why they adopted these growth charts, WHO growth charts, as the gold standard to follow the kids' growth, either if they're breastfeed kids or not breastfeed kids. And so what happened before that, when we used the previous charts in my clinics where Laila and I used to work, we saw that the breast kids were always intimidated by the nurses. But now, who's getting sort of, who is not normal are the babies that are getting formula, because you tend to see them really jumping out of the charts, and we can now follow who the kids in risk are. The kids in risk are kids that are growing too fast, kids are growing and slowing down, whatever they are, breastfeeders or non-breastfeeders, but you can really identify them on time and to do preventive medicine. And cost, money. More than 50% of babies in the world are not breastfeeding. 195 million kids are not achieving their goals and the IQ and milestones that they could have if they would be breastfeeding. 4.5 million kids in the world are suffering of obesity because they're not breastfeeding. 93,863, according to the 22 AAP, of death of women because not breastfeeding, and 424,249 death of kids because they have not been breastfed. Again, it's not anecdotal, it's all they checked it out with meta-analyst and a lot of based evidence articles. So sorry?
I wanna see in our non-governmental hospital, private hospital, some of company get the formula to
Exactly.
formula to cans for mother as a present.
Yes, I will get to that point, to that painful point in a second. Okay, thank you for mentioning it, because this is so vital for the start. And you know, the first printing that we see in the most early stage of studying, of life, of whatever we do in the first time, is getting imprinted and very, very strong habit in our continuous lives. And the promotion of the formulas, they know how to work very smart, very vicious, and I'll talk about it in a second. And thank you for mentioning it, because this is very, very super important. So what we understand is that we need action, and this is where I'm coming from. I'm a breastfeeding consultant, but on top of all that, I'm public nurse. What we are doing is not curing, we are preventing. We're doing a lot of programs in the society, in our clinics, that is supposed to prevent whatever. I mean, prevent anemia, prevent violence against women, prevent depression, postnatal depression. and prevent non-breastfeeding as well. And actually, how did all the whole ideas preventive idea of medicine started? In 1086, there was in Ottawa the first international conference, which they said that to promote something that is important for the human being to grow their own understanding about their own health, to get to that, we need to do something together, and it includes any aspect of spiritual situation, body situation, economical situation, society situation, and forget to these roles, we need a whole action from the whole environment, especially politics. Ottawa statement talked about 3 aspects which we also use in breastfeeding. The first aspect, we need, sorry, I jumped to the next thing. Anyway, I'll jump to the next one. We need...
It's like a policy or conference or...
Yes, it's a policy. Ottawa conference made the Western countries to understand that to make the world a bit better in society way, in health way, in spiritual way, in economical way, you need a whole system working together. Okay, if it's, you have to make the world to work for peace, to protect education, to promote the rightful, to make people, help them more equity and less poverty, and you need a social justice, and etc., etc. But to get into more details, it's more talking about 3 points, okay? One is advocacy. Advocacy means you have to protect the society against politics, against people who are influencing the culture. You have to fight against anyone that is invading whatever you want to achieve in a better health. And that's why you have to sort of protect and enable the sort of protect, first of all, the idea that you're doing, and you have to convince these people or to work against these people with your community to not allowing them to use their tools to get into the system. The second idea is enable, make it possible to do something. So the whole union and the whole ארגונים,
Organization.
Sorry? Organization should work together to make it possible, and they have to talk the same language, and they have to help each other to achieve these goals. And the third idea, which is also made, is the mediation. You have to help and to work together. If it's health systems, but not only health system, it's not health system problem. It's a health system, it's the country, it's the politics, it's the education. They have all to work and to talk the same language. As you see here, building healthy policy, creating a supportive environment for whatever you want to promote. Okay, it can be breastfeeding, can be anything else. You need to strengthen the community activities. So the community is going to be very empowered also to require whatever they want to promote and develop personal skills. You have to help the people to have the power to do their own change. And it's a whole system that works together for the idea. And only when these 3 conditions are coming together, this is promotion, health promotion, then an idea can come out. And we understand that for any idea that you want to promote, you have to talk the same language among countries, among nations, among institutes, among health systems, etc. And that's why we are here to, first of all, before we learning about breastfeeding, we'll understand the common language between us that we can then ooze out. Now about what you asked, what you mentioned about giving presents in the hospital. This is a very, very, very sad history that since then, the promotion, the health promotion as well, started about breastfeeding, which was in 1077. You know the brand Nestle, you know the brand Cyrilac. They invaded in Africa in a very, very massive work of promotion. They first went to doctors. They bribed the doctors that their stuff is more, is better. And what happened after the doctors got obviously convinced, the doctors started to promote the Cyrilac and Nestle. And because of this, millions of babies started dying. It continued later on also in Pakistan, and it still continues happening now. I'm not buying Nestle anymore since I know this. I'm not buying anything out of Nestle because I'm doing a boycott on them. But when the whole tragedy happened, first of all in the 70s and then in the 90s, and it still happened, international organization decided to make a boycott. You know what a boycott is?
Yes.
Yeah. And they made a boycott against Nestle, that are working morally, that they killed so many people in the third world. And the reason that so many kids died is because actually they're using formulas, but they used formulas with a non-clean water. So imagine what can happen when a mother goes and makes the water out of an unhealthy area. They had to put so much money and pay them for the milk they're buying, which worsened their economical situation. And the kids just lost the opportunity for everything that breast milk can give them, if it's immunological wise, if it's milestone wise, if it's whatever you look at it, they lost a lot because of that, because of the promotion, not only the deaf people and the sick people, also in all aspects. And that's why that boycott started off in, and I want to show you something, just a minute if I'll find it here. We got introduced, I can't find it now. Anyway, we got introduced to this movie. And if we'll have a chance to show you this movie, it's in one and a half hour movie that Diana found free. I had to buy this disc in England because it's a it was really hidden, this movie, because this movie is actually telling the story of Nestle. They changed the name of Nestle to Lasta, okay, and the company's name is Lasta. But till today, anyone is very threatened by Nestle that they're going to be sued if they're going to tell the story that happened. So it's still a fight in the world, but now suddenly you can see the movie. You can't make it commercial, but it's so important to show the movie in any system. If there's one thing that after you watch the movie in the future, that this movie is going to be shown again and again and again and again in any health system in your place, because this makes a big boom in the heart. and I hope you'll get the chance to watch it. Sorry, yeah.
It's about Nestle itself as a company, or because it's still working till now and not everyone knowing this history.
Exactly, you're really right. It's about Nestle, but they're not calling it Nestle. But it's exactly the same story. This is the story. According to this movie, this is the way the Nestle worked. The tools that they worked with to promote and to convince was so aggressive, and it's still happening. It's still happening. I mean, you can see all the commercials everywhere. It's very aggressive.
The most common for formula, for Nescafe, for it's still working.
Yes, you told me that hospitals are just sharing formulas. Why do they share formulas? Because the hospitals are getting money out of it. Okay, Nestle, whatever company is paying them. So there's a lot to do to take him out. We'll talk about the code of marketing. This is the code of marketing. This is. It's not that you're not allowed to market, but there's a way to market whatever you want to sell. You can't do it on cost of lives. The outcomes of breastfeeding, you can see here what the aggressive promotion for Nestle. You can see what happened. The blue one is how many the prevalence of breastfeeding in 1960 and in 1980. You can see how high it was before they were introduced to Nestle. And then you can see after Nestle how much the reduction of breastfeeding was in any year since 1960 till 1980. Okay, this is one thing. Here you can see infant mortality, which happened while the promotion of Nestle, but all these people got the formula with right water, with clean water. Okay, but you can see that even with clean water, the mortality was higher. So it wasn't only the watered thing. Here's the years since Nestle entered, and here's the infant mortality rate. Okay, you can see it got higher. In the next slide, you see how strong it changed the rates of mortality when they didn't protect the water, when they used whatever water there was. Okay, and it still continues, and it's a threat that can happen anywhere. I mean, now we are sort of in Israel. I mean, but one day there's going to be even a worse. I mean, I can't talk about you in a non-worse situation. You are in a very difficult situation anyway, but let's say in Gaza, this is the picture that I would suspect that is happening, and that's why it's so important to protect the babies in Gaza, because it's destructive. The situation there is so bad that everyone has got to do everything, and this is what Gina does, to protect the babies to continue breastfeeding. So this is something a nation should plan if a disaster is coming up, to protect it for happening. Any questions till now? Because if not, then we're having a little break. Yeah, I'm here. I stopped sharing. What's time now? Okay, we have 20 minutes. The next part is going to be a bit easier. But I'm here to ask your questions in the meantime. And if not, Diana, how long do you think we can have a break?
Depends on the team. Depends on the team. I think 10 minutes maximum.
Okay. Okay. And if you have any...
we should leave at 10 o'clock.
Sorry?
So maybe Gabby will do without the break because the team has to leave soon to the field.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So if someone wants to jump to the toilet or whatever in the meantime, just feel okay, and then we'll continue. Okay. Any questions till now?
Clear.
I know when I heard these lectures, Doris was there because she was one of my teachers. I was in shock. I remember I said, wow, where do we start from? There's so much work to do. We are here. And how can I, as a little person, convince anyone and make a change? And this was, Doris, when was this? This was 9,999. Now we are 25 years later. There is a big process since then, but it's still very low. Laila can tell about it, and she will. But it's possible. Okay, then I'll continue. Again. Okay. Okay, so now we'll continue with the history. So 9,000, we talked about 9,077, which the boycott started, and 79, according to talks they had in the WHO and the UNICEF and representatives of nations and milk formula companies, they decided that it's very important. I mean, different companies got together and different unions got together, and they sort of achieved the decision, at least, that nations should protect and promote the breastfeeding. They should support if the baby gets a formula, it should be in a proper way, in a non-risky way or less risky way as possible. Governments should promote and strengthen the education and the knowledge they give to the society so they can make a proper decision. And they developed different types of promotion programs to strengthen the health of women. And they started to talk about the proper way of promoting formulas. This was the first idea. 81, okay, 1981, the code of the proper way to שכחתי איך קוראים לזה. The code is set for recommendation aimed as a protection, as I talked before, the 3 points, to protect breastfeeding, to promote breastfeeding, and to support breastfeeding by saying how to do a proper marketing. It doesn't say, no, you can't market formulas, but how to do it in a way that you don't harm the chance of breastfeeding. It shouldn't, any type of marketing shouldn't harm breastfeeding, and you have to use formula breast milk only if there is a medical need for that. So 1981, Israel signed this code, okay? But the fact that Israel signed the code, it didn't have to do anything with change that they did at 81, because they signed it, okay, it was here. What happened in the actual situation was nothing, because a code is not a law. To make a code effective, you need agreements. It can't be obeyed. You need to be convinced and united to promote the whole idea. So What are the
Gaby,
key?
Gaby, I have a question.
Yes.
Do you think that companies like Nestle and Nutrilon and any other company, they have contracts with the hospital or the Ministry of Health? How do you think that goes? And why
They
is
what?
it so?
They what have? Sorry.
Contracts with the hospital? They
Yes.
pay the hospital, or
Yes.
is
Yes.
it through the Ministry of Health?
No, it's not through.
They have both. They have
Both?
both, ministry and hospitals, but it's not so direct. I can tell you only Israel. Yes, I don't know West Bank, but in Israel, each hospital gets 14,000 shekels per night per patient.
Oh my
So
God.
each hospital is wanting to have as many delivery women as he can. So the hospital is saying you'll get free formula
Samples.
when you get. So it's a way of bringing to Ichilov, let's say, a lot of giving birth women.
Yeah.
It's not direct. It's not like, okay, this. It's part of the promotion of having a lot of women giving birth at his hospital.
Wow. And if it's through the Ministry of Health, Malak, can you find out? Because then how can you fight it?
Two things were achieved since then. One was that not. Sorry. Two things were achieved, which are tiny, but it is achievement. If companies could go freely into the hospitals, now they say, okay, not every woman wants to breastfeed, okay, but you give only two options for the mother to decide if she doesn't want to breastfeed, or if you can't breastfeed and the doctor says, okay, you need to use formula. So you have to have two brands, so the doctor or the mother can choose between two, but you don't have a free market. The second thing that was changed is that now really, really, really lately, in hospitals, you can get 100 cc of breast milk from the bank, breastfeeding bank, for women that can't achieve the amount of colostrum in the first few days. They're entitled to get 100 cc's from the hospital. Still a lot of balagan, a lot of other things are happening, but this year, 2025 and 2026 is the year that the Israeli Health Ministry will work very, very, very hard to set the hospital regulations. Next year, it will be for the clinics, and it's Dr. Zimmerman's project and Israeli ABM doctors. They're doing really hard work, and in 1 year, I believe, they are going to have very strict rules for each hospital. Obviously, they're doing accreditation to hospitals. This is going to go into the accreditation, and this is the way that things change when they get the accreditation, good accreditation or not good accreditation. But the Ministry of Health in any country should decide that this is their policy.
I want to tell you something amazing I heard yesterday in a lecture that is nothing to do with lactation. They said that the average of changes from the minute it was published in scientific and medical publications, like academic paper, to the minute the policy start to change is 15 years. 15 years from research to implementation.
I'm working with the Ministry of Health on another policy to prevent this in private hospital.
And how do they? I mean,
still
maybe it's good to start with the private hospitals.
Yes, because the private hospital is where they're giving the presents and
I understand. But if they would understand that not giving the present would put them more money in, I mean, let's talk about the code of marketing.
like commercial, you know, like sponsor for the company.
So which we can understand that in In Palestine, there's still a lot to go because there's so much conflict and interests, and mothers are so confused. They think that whatever is promoted and the posters that are on the wall, this is the best thing.
It's
And
easy to start doing formula and avoid breastfeeding. It's easy to make the bottle, then start breastfeeding. So it's a
it
big
is easy, especially if you know that it's modern. The doctor said it. The poster's hanging in his office. Then I'll do it. Thousands of people grew out of formula. Why shouldn't I? Okay. The person that influences the mother or the families is the doctor, is the nurse. And whatever the nurse and the doctors are oozing out verbally or non-verbally, even what's hanging around me, okay, the posters that are hanging around me, the promotion in the newspaper and the TV, everything is like dung, 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 influencing the brain.
First of all, I want to excuse in 6 minutes. I have another Zoom, but I will need to leave. But it's a full industry, Ragda. It's not only the formula. It's the butters and the pacifiers and the curtains you put. It's an industry like weapon is moving the world, and pharma is the industry that control the world. So formulas are some kind of an industry that taking us from the neutral place we're supposed to be into a full industry.
Maya, I also think that there are these commercials that say, just like mother's milk, just like a mother's breast, even in the shape or...
Yes.
So if it's the same and with less trouble, then why even bother?
Yes. And let's go to the principles of the code, and then you understand what should go into commercials and what shouldn't go into commercials. These are very subtle and very important. So first of all, the breastfeeding policy. Breastfeeding should be protected, promoted, and supported as an optimal way of feeding the baby, or as a standard way. No advertising in public. It means that marketing of breast milk substance, including bottles, should be marketed, and teats directly to the public is prohibited. No free samples to mothers. Health, also not to give it to health workers. This is what you see in the movie. Health workers shouldn't get present from the companies. They shouldn't give it to the health workers. They shouldn't give it to mothers. They shouldn't give it to families, not whatsoever. To workers, just imagine that the company comes and gives you they invite you to a big meals, and they give you pens and they give you writing pads, and you're writing all the instructions on the writing pad that is written Nestle. You're giving the instruction, whatever it was, to the mother, and she's Nestle. This goes into the brain. It's a very subtle way to promote, even without talking. It's just because you are getting the samples and you're writing all the prescription just with a Nestle pen. These are little things that they know that are influencing, and it influences the mothers, and workers think, this is not going to, how many discussions and ויכוחים, איך אומרים ויכוחים?
Debates.
Debates I had with, Laila and I, we had with friends in my work. I had to, and we couldn't, even our bosses, extraditing, you took too much. It's not as well. You're very, very extreme. We had a boycott on ourselves for so many years, and this is part of it, to be strong, your group to be strong together, to stand, because this is what will happen if you will start. But if you continue, so no free samples and formulas, no gifts, to health workers. Company must not give gifts, financial benefits to hospital, to clinics, or indicate and to health anyway. Nothing should be given to anyone, not in hospitals and not in anywhere. You're not supposed to give free samples or in reduction. You have to be, in anything you promote, you have to explain that formula is compared to breastfeeding. Breastfeeding, this is the standard. This is the way a baby should. They have to give a very, very clear explanation on the bottle, on the box of the idea that breastfeeding is the standard. And obviously, you shouldn't give free samples anywhere, not in hospitals, not in clinics, not to workers. Okay, so these were the principles for the WHO code. I will find the enlarged points. These are very constructed points of the code of marketing. But this is one of the Bible, of the Quran of the breastfeeding. The WHO code of marketing. This is one of the basic things that everyone should know, and I will put in the Dropbox. I will put the wide explanation for it. Whoever would like to use it and get deep in that. 1989. The 10 steps was written, but it makes a big difference between written and accomplished. Okay, 10 steps is actually the basic idea how to make a hospital baby friendly. A baby friendly hospital is like a stamp. It's an ISO stamp. It has to stand on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 principles to get to be a breastfeeding, to be a 10 step, to be a
Friendly. Breastfeeding friendly hospital.
To be a baby friendly hospital, and this is called the Baby Friendly Hospital Initiative.
I will share the common one on WhatsApp.
Sorry?
I will share the common one, that the baby friendly hospital, in WhatsApp.
Okay, and here you're going to get, I mean, I'm going to put also this into the group, but here it's actually the 10 steps are again talking about all these tragedies in the hospital and clinics, how to protect breastfeeding, how to support the breastfeeding, and how to promote breastfeeding in the proper way. And this whole idea about protect, support, and promote is called the Innocenti Declaration. Innocenti Declaration was saying that to do the 10 steps, you do it for these 3 aims, and to make it activated, it started to happen 991. This is when Nestle started to do the whole thing in Pakistan, okay? But the 10 steps were implemented. They started to be implemented in the world. There, I don't know how many hospitals in the world have our baby-friendly hospital, baby-friendly hospitals. In Israel, there's even not one hospital baby-friendly. Hopefully we're getting into one, but it will take time. So the UNICEF, sorry?
In Jerusalem, you have Al-Muqasid. Yes.
I also heard that, and they have the stamp,
Yes.
Al-Muqasid?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay. Baby friendly hospital. I didn't hear that they are fully breastfeeding hospital, but I would be happy because in Jerusalem, the regulations are followed by the Israeli Ministry of Health. So I'm going to find out, and I'm very happy to hear if it's like that. I met a breastfeeding consultant through through Zoom a few years ago, and she also said it. So Maya, if we can visit that hospital, I would be very, very happy one day. So first of all, please take a picture of these. If you take a good picture, you can make it as a leaflet, as a personal leaflet, but I'll start from the beginning. And number one, the policy of the hospital, you have to stand and to do everything the code, the international code of marketing applies, okay? No no gifts, no this, no this, no this. And if you put in hospital formulas for kids that need it and they can't breastfeed, and it's a doctor's decision, then yes, then you give 2 formulas and the doctor's got to decide. You have to put into the policy a very obvious policy for the nurses, for the staff, for the doctors, and even the cleaners and the people that are moving babies and people from room to room. Everyone has got to get a course about breastfeeding. Obviously not the same course, but everyone should know about breastfeeding and should know what to do and what not to do. The instructions should be given constantly again and again to the crew and to the parents, and you have to regulate and to, איך אומרים ניטור רציף, לנטר.
Follow up.
To do a follow-up, that this is made. I mean, you have to do a follow-up on any ward, that this is happening, this is happening, this is happening, and to start to publish wherever it succeeds and wherever it's not succeeding. And then it started to make a competition between the places, and this is something that really makes motivation for that.
Gaby, how long do we still have? Because the team needs to leave for the field.
Not long, 15 minutes maybe.
15?
Yeah.
Okay, because we do have patients waiting, so they have to. So no more than 15. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks.
Okay. Now all the team should know and study breastfeeding enough for what they do. You have to give knowledge to the women before they're giving birth, and how to, and this is something you can do because you're following up pregnant women. So if you give them the basic knowledge before they give birth as a group or whatever, this is something very, very strong you can do prenatal. You have to one important thing is, it's nothing to do with you because you're not working in hospitals, but skin to skin, jeld ala jeld, is one of the main tools how to achieve fully breastfeed, to put the baby continuously on your body without bothering the baby and the mother, and to promote and to enable them to be skin to skin, because when a baby is skin to skin, it's so much easier to go back to breastfeeding or to succeed breastfeeding. Every woman, sorry?
So sorry, but can we continue the rest of the slides next time? Because it's going to take them an hour.
No, I'll finish it anyway. I can put all these slides, again, I'm going to put them, but you have to understand that every slide says what's behind that. And if you have the posters around, it's not just some hanging there.
It's going to take we had an understanding that it's from 8 to 10, and we have patients waiting.
I know, and I'm apologizing, but we had the start, a very long start, and this was...
Can't keep patients waiting. So either we continue with this next week, or the team reviews it separately, and if they have questions, they'll ask you next week.
Okay, so I will keep the 10 steps for you to self-learn.
Yeah, we have the next meeting in 2 days. So
Yes.
it's easier.
On Tuesday.
We started later. People got in too late, okay?
Yes, you know.
Last thing I wanted to say, another program is the Healthy People program. The aim, it's just important to know that the aim in 1095, which is this year, was 50% fully breastfeeding kids when they are 6 months old. But they load it now. I mean, for the 2030, the percentage of fully breastfed babies at 6 months, it was dropped to 42.4 because they probably understood that it's impossible to achieve it. Now, this is something that I got into the WHO. I wanted to know what's the situation of breastfeeding in Palestine. And I was astonished to see that 1995 and 2020, the highest rates I've ever seen. And I asked Shireen, how can that be? I mean, if this is the picture, what am I doing here? You knowing everything, you can teach us, okay? And she explained that all the information that was collected, okay, 38 degrees, when we want to achieve 6 months to 42, it's not far away, it's excellent. But she says, whoever takes the information, whoever writes the answers is not qualified. Some of them even don't know how to read. They just tick, 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 and no one really looks if it's true or not true. Like this information is absolutely not right, and I was very sad to see it. And just to show you what happens, this is all not true, unfortunately. And also in Israel, okay, in Israel they're collecting data as they should. In Israel, at 1916, we were 6 months fully breastfeeding on 20.3, and now, so many years later, we only elevated it in 2% only. So whatever you see in Palestine is far from being true, unfortunately, but this is going to be a good chance to start to address to it. And as I promised, we'll finish. Still there's a way to go, but with your help and your light in the eyes, I hope that you will have in the end of the course, it can be happen.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you on Tuesday.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Miss Leila. Yeah, see you. Bye.
אוקיי, ביי ביי. דיאנה, יש לך אפשרות להישאר אחרי?
כן, רק לכמה דקות.
כן. בסדר.
لا هذيك الصفرة ماما. גבי, אני רוצה להצטרף מהמחשב. אני אצא מפה, אני אצטרף מהמחשב, בסדר?
אוקיי, 100%.
ביי ביי.
רגע, דוריס, תישארי רגע. אוקיי. רגע. Anna וביסן, are you still here with us? Probably not. אוקיי. טוב, נחכה רגע, אני יודעת שאתן ממהרות. וואו, זו הייתה ריצה. זה קשה לעשות את זה באנגלית.
גבי,
האנגלית שלך מצוינת.
לתקן במצגת.
סליחה?
יש כמה דברים קטנים שצריך לתקן באנגלית. אני לא רשמתי, אבל כמה דברים יש.
את זוכרת?
זהו, שלא רשמתי.
אוקיי. רגע, דיאנה מצטרפת. אוקיי. היי, דיאנה. רגע, אני רק אשחרר את ביסן. אז to start with the chat pin, hide the phone. מקוס, נעים, אוקיי. כן, אני איתך, זהו.
היה מעולה.
תודה, זה היה די ריצה, ולא ידעתי מי מבינה, מי לא מבינה. חבל לי נורא שדוקטור אנה לא הייתה. כי הדברים, בעצם דוקטור אנה וגם אסלה, עליהם קם ונופל כל הסיפור הזה. כאילו, במידה רבה.
כן, אני לא יודעת, מלאק הייתה אמורה לבדוק את הזמינות של כל אחת מהן. אני אבדוק איתה שוב למה זה לא יסתדר עם דוקטור אנה, כי הייתה אמורה לבדוק את הימים ואת השעות, והייתה אמורה
כי
להיות...
מבחינת הידע, גם היא הייתה אחת מהאלה שהיה להם את הידע הכי נמוך. וחבל, כי אם הרופאים חושבים ככה,
אז ספציפית לגבי דוקטור אנה, אני אבדוק עם מלאק מה קורה, וננסה זכות מלאה. נראה לי זה נושא די חדש להן, אם היה להן שאלות, הן היו שואלות, אז נראה לי שזה יתחיל לרוץ ויתקדם, יהיו להן יותר שאלות. גם אפשר עכשיו כאילו לשלוח לקבוצה 3 שאלות לפעם הבאה.
לא, שהם ישאלו אותנו. אני לא רוצה כרגע לבחון אותן, אני רוצה קודם כל שזה...
לא לבחון, אבל מה לא היה מובן, האם אתן חושבות שכך וכך וכך, לא בתור בוחן, כאילו משהו להכנה או לא יודעת.
הבהרה אולי.
אני יכולה להציע משהו?
כן, בטח לילה.
אני ממליצה שאחרי כל מפגש נעביר שאלון קצר כזה של 3-4 שאלות, משהו כזה בכללי, גם בשבילנו וגם בכלל, אם נעשה את הפרויקט הזה עוד פעם, גם שנלמד תוך כדי, וגם ככה אנחנו נלמד את הקבוצה. לא חייב להיות על התוכן ועל הידע עצמו, על אם זה היה ברור, אם זה היה רלוונטי, אם היה כאילו דברים כאלה שזה בכללי.
אולי בשאלות של 1-5, עד כמה זה שינה לך את הגישה, עד כמה מוטיבציה.
את חושבת שזה רלוונטי, שזה חשוב, שזה הוסיף לך משהו.
מישהי יכולה...
גם העברה עצמה, יכול להיות שאני לא אעביר כמוך בצורה כזו שוטפת, שגם אני אלמד על עצמי.
אפשר גם שאלות האלה בוואטסאפ, יש אפשרות את יודעת.
נכון.
כן, כמו שעושים, ואחרי כל מפגש אנחנו נעביר את זה, במקום שזה יהיה בסוף, שלא יזכרו מה היה במפגשים הראשונים. ואפילו הייתי בוחרת סוג של, כאילו למיין את זה לפי השם ההרצאה נניח. נניח היום זה היה מדיניות, אחר כך שאני אעביר על המיקרוביום או על 3 ימים אחרי הלידה, כאילו שזה ספציפית, כותרת של וממש אחרי המפגש, כדי שעדיין הם ככה זה בראש שלהם.
אני אשמח אם תשלחו לי רעיונות לשאלות, ואני אעשה פול כזה של שאלות, אם יש לכם רעיונות. דוריס, רצית להגיד משהו?
כן, כי הייתה לי הרגשה שחלק מהחומר הם כן הכירו. על 10 steps הבנתי שהן כן מכירות, אז אולי כדאי בין השאלות לשאול האם זה חידש להם או אם החומר היה ידוע להם. נכון?
אני חושבת שיש הבדל בין זה שהם מכירים את ה-10 steps, לבין אם הם מבינים מה עומד מאחורי זה. כי יש כל כך הרבה חוכמה מאחורי כל משפט, למשל, יש איזה אחד אוקיי, לא לתת מוצצים. כיום הרעיון הוא לא להגיד לה לא לתת מוצצים, אלא להסביר לכל אישה את ההשלכות של שימוש בבקבוק ושימוש במוצץ. זאת אומרת, לתת לאישה את הכוח לבחור, אבל להעביר לה את הידע לגבי דברים. וזה דברים מאוד חזקים שדווקא שונו ב-10 steps האחרונים לעומת הקודמים. זה לא להגיד להם מה לעשות, אלא לספק את המידע כדי שיוכלו לבחור את זה.
כן, הבעיה היא שבתוך הרצאה כזאת, את לא יכולה להתחיל להסביר את כל הדברים, זה לא ייגמר.
נכון.
אז באמת צריך אולי לכתוב את הדברים האלה באיזושהי צורה נגישה, בלי הרבה מילים, ככה, טק, 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 כי זה הרבה מאוד חומר, ואני חושבת שקשה להשתלט על כל החומר. אז למשל עם הנושא של המוצץ, 3 משפטים קצרים.
תראו, אני אפתח תיקייה, דיאנה, של ניירות עמדה, או the core of the breastfeeding, כאילו דברים משמעותיים שזה הלב של ההנקה, ואני אכניס את הרחב יותר,
אני חושבת שאפשר לשלוח, כאילו, הוספת תיקייה של מחקרים, של נושאים תומכים, בלה בלה בלה. אי אפשר לשלוח להם חומר קריאה לפני ההרצאה, ואז הן יבואו יותר מוכנות, זה ירוץ יותר מהר.
בטח שכן. כן, אני רק אתמול קיבלתי את התיקייה, אבל אני אעשה את זה. כאילו שיקראו את ה-ABM, שיקראו את הזה. כן, בטח שכן, אבל כל מרצה צריכה להגיד מה היא הייתה רוצה שיקראו לפני.
אז אפשר לשלוח את זה לוואטסאפ.
כן.
לא קשור לתיקייה. לשלוח עכשיו חומר הכנה להרצאה הבאה. כאילו את המאמרים לשלוח עכשיו לוואטסאפ. זה לא, כאילו זה מאמר אחד.
את המאמרים ישירות לוואטסאפ? לילה, למפגש מחרתיים. את יכולה להגיד איזה מאמרים את היית רוצה שהם יקרו מה-ABM?
עוד פעם שלי?
שלפני כל מפגש הם יקראו מאמרים או ניירות עמדה כדי להכין את עצמם, ואז כשאנחנו מרצות הן נפגשות בזה עוד פעם, אוקיי? הרי רק אתמול קיבלנו את התא הזה, אז לא יכולתי עוד לפני זה להכין אותם.
תראי, אני בחומר שאני מעבירה יש מלא 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 מחקרים, אז כאילו במה לבחור.
לא, תסתכלי ב-ABM.
אם זה מעניין אותם בהמשך, הם יכולים לפנות לרפרנס ושיעמיקו את הידע שלהם. המטרה מהחומר שאני ספציפית מעבירה, זה סוג של טעימה לנושא שגם יעניין אותם, ושאם הם מעוניינות כאילו להמשיך לחקור או
תראי, תעברי על ה-ABM ותראי אם יש משהו שעונה במידה מסוימת על הנושא שאת מעבירה.
זה כאילו כל דבר שמדבר על יתרונות חלב אם.
אני חייבת לצאת.
בסדר דוריס.
אני רק רציתי לשאול שאלה, כי פשוט לא הבנתי, לא היה לי בראש.
רגע, רק ניפרד מדוריס. דוריס, תודה.
תודה לכם, תודה רבה.
ביי דוריס.
ביי ביי.
האם יש בית חולים ידידותי להנקה בפרנס מקאסד אמרו? זה קצת היה...
הם אמרו שזה אל מקאסד, האמת היא שפעם היה לנו...
את מכירה?
כן,
זה קצת מפתיע אותי שיש...
זאת לא פעם ראשונה שאני שומעת על זה. יכול להיות שזה נכון. נבדוק.
אני שלחתי לך, דיאנה, לדעתי תמונה של יועצת הנקה שפעם הרצתה לנו בזום, לך שלחתי או למאיה? כי אני זוכרת שהייתה איזו יועצת הנקה שהרצתה לנו מירושלים, המזרחית מאחד מבתי החולים, והיא אמרה שהבית חולים שלה הוא בייבי פרנדלי. אמרתי, וואי, אני מתה לבקר שם.
זה נכון, הנה, בחיפוש קצר באינטרנט זה עולה לי.
אוקיי, יפה מאוד. ואני גיליתי שהבתי חולים בירושלים המזרחית הם תחת הת"פ של משרד הבריאות שלנו.
נראה לי זה חדש. זה חדש משנה שעברה.
באמת? לא, אני שמעתי אותה. אוקיי, בכל מקרה, אני שלח לך את התמונה, תגידי מה. אוקיי.
סבבה.
אז אולי כמחשבה אני זורקת, דיאנה, אחרי הקורס, האם אפשר לארגן סיור שם?
אני לא יודעת, כאילו זה תלוי ברור שכאילו אם רוצים וזה ניתן לעשייה, סבבה.
טוב, אני אדבר גם עם מאיה.
מה חלאס, מה?
ודבר נוסף, בעתיד, אחרי הקורס, זה לא במקום הקורס.
לא קשור למאיה, מאיה לא יכולה לארגן סיור שם, זה קשור בבנות.
לא, אבל היא יכולה לארגן אישורים.
למי?
לבנות, שלכם, שלך.
לא, את רוצה שאתם תלכו לשם או שהן יבואו לפה?
שהם ואנחנו. ביחד.
לא הבנתי, פה בישראל או שם או בגדה?
בירושלים המזרחית, באל-מוקאסד. אז אני מבינה כן. ועוד דבר שכאילו מחשבה לאחרי הקורס, זה אם אפשר יהיה להקרין להם את הסרט ואחר כך לעשות דיון.
את צריכה את התרגום של הסרט.
את ראית אותו?
לא ראיתי, כי זה בלי תרגום. זה בהודית, באיזשהו דיאלקט הודי, לא?
לא, הוא רובו באנגלית, ומה שבהודית יש לו תרגום לאנגלית.
בלינק ששלחתי לך אין תרגום. יכול להיות
מוזר,
שאם יש... יכול להיות
אבל זה יכול להיות פרויקט של רוזנה, תבררי מאיה, אם אפשר על חשבון רוזנה לתרגם את זה לערבית.
אין לנו כסף לפרויקטים. ברור, לא נראה לי שזה בר עשייה כרגע, לתרגם את הסרט.
טוב, לא, כי היא לא אמרה לי לא כזה נחרץ, אז לא יודעת כמה זה עולה, אבל כן. אוקיי, זה מחשבה לסוף. בכל מקרה, לגבי מה שהיה היום עם הלחץ הזה של הסוף, לא דיברנו על זה לפני זה, אבל אני תיארתי לעצמי שהיום זה יהיה קצת יותר ארוך משעתיים, כי א', התחלנו מאוחר קצת. דבר שני, עשינו הקדמה נורא ארוכה, אז הגיוני שמשהו שתכננתי לשעתיים ייקח יותר.
לא, היה אפשר לקצר שכל אחת תציג את עצמה בצורה ארוכה כזאת.
תראי, זה
בחלק הראשוני,
רטרואקטיבי.
גבי, כל היתרונות וזה, אנחנו דיברנו על זה, שגם אני מעבירה, אז הייתי יכולה לעשות את זה כזה יותר מהר.
טוב, זה בדיעבד אנחנו רואים, אני מקווה שבפעם הבאה נעמוד מה.
הבעיה היא שיש מרפאה עכשיו ושחולות מחכות עכשיו בחוץ.
אני מבינה, אוקיי.
ולא תמיד אפשר לצפות לכמה זמן זה ייקח להם על הדרך. יכול להיות שעה, יכול להיות שעה, ושאנשים יחכו בשמש, אין איפה לחכות.
אני מבינה. אוקיי, בסדר, אז בפעמים הבאות בטוח.
בסך הכל עברת על רוב החומר, גבי.
מה?
בסך הכל עברת על הרוב.
נכון, לא, זה בסדר. זה בסדר. שום דבר, רק ה-10 steps, כן, ה-10 steps.
אפשר להתחיל עם זה, כאילו בעוד יומיים.
לא, אני לא רוצה לקחת מלילה זמן. יש לי לילה גם.
אפשר אחרי ההרצאה שלי, אני אשתדל לעשות את זה כזה מהר, ואם יהיה זמן...
אל תמהרי, אם יישאר זמן, יישאר זמן,
זה מה שאני אומרת, אם יהיה זמן, אז רבע שעה, 10 דקות.
את יכולה לפתוח זום לבד, ולהקליט את עצמך מדברת על ה-10 steps, ואז נשלח בוואטסאפ או נשים בתיקייה.
אוקיי.
זה גם אופציה.
רעיון טוב.
כן.
רעיון טוב. סבבה.
זה לא ככה.
זה רעיון טוב. אוקיי, אני אעשה את זה. טוב. אוקיי, אז הצלחנו את הפעם הראשונה. איך היה בגדול?
היה מדהים, הרבה חומר, הרבה מידע רציף, אני אישית נהנית.
גם אני.
תודה.
גם שאפו על המצגות, נראות פגז.
תודה. אוקיי, לילוש, את עובדת היום או בחול המועד?
היום אני נוסעת לכנרת. יש תור לאמא שלי.
מה את עושה?
תור לאמא שלי. בדיקות.
טוב. אוקיי. יש לך זמן עוד לקשקש לילה?
כן, כמה דקות, כן.
כן, טוב. אז דיאנה, תודה.
ביי.
וממש תודה. יאללה, נתראה מחרתיים.
ביי ביי.
ביי ביי.
כן, זה מאחורייך עכשיו.
כן.
זה היה מדהים.
כן?
כן, מצוין. אני מאוד ככה מתבלה מהאנגלית שלך.
את יודעת, אתמול עשיתי קצת חזרה על לדבר באנגלית, ואני כל הזמן נתקעתי
לא, זה היה מצוין. את כנראה מרגישה את זה. עכשיו, מי אני שתדבר על האנגלית שלך, אבל לי היה...
את לא מדברת אנגלית, את מדברת ערבית.
לא, ברור, אבל שאני אעריך את האנגלית שלך, לזה מתכוונת. כמו
לא.
שאמרתי, הקטע הזה, אם היית, לא היית ככה ממקדת, כי אני מבינה את הצורך שלך ככה להסביר.
כן.
כל הקטע של היתרונות, הרי אני אדבר על זה. זה היה בעיניי...
אוקיי, זהו, אנחנו לא עברנו אחת לשנייה על המצגות.
לא, אנחנו דיברנו על זה, פשוט את שכחת. ואמרנו
יכול להיות.
את מעבירה את זה כאילו כזה במהר כזה, ולא נורא אם חוזרים על הדברים. ככה קבענו, אבל לי הייתה הרגשה עכשיו שאת כאילו המשכת להתעמק זה חשוב, אולי זה גם ככה למגע הראשוני עם החומר, זה חשוב.
כן, מבחינתי זה חשוב כי זה מחבר
כן, אבל
את
זה לא היה
הקידום בריאות.
מדיניות. כאילו הדגש שלך הוא היה על המדיניות.
נכון, מה לא היה מדיניות?
הקטע של היתרונות, שדיברת על התינוק ועל האימא,
הבנתי.
זה לקח הרבה זמן.
ה-AAP.
כן. אבל גם, לא נורא, זה לא...
אבל
של
זה...
10 דקות זה לא
כן.
משהו.
אני אתמול עברתי על התשובות שנתנו.
ואת יודעת מי הנעמה? כי הבנתי שאת ככה אמרת כל אחד מהיים.
כן, כן. והפסיכולוגית, קוראים לה ביאן, היא הכי גרוע, היה לה 53, והדוקטור אנה, 57.
אנה, מה התחום שלה? גינקולוגית?
כן.
זאת שדיברה באוטו?
כן.
והרופאה הראשונה, מה התחום שלה? שדיברה...
היא רופאת משפחה, והיא קיבלה 73. הכי גבוה היה 87, שזאת התזונאית.
התזונאית. כן, אוקיי. הבנתי שהיא תואר שני באפידמיולוגיה, כמוני.
כן, וואו. יש להם בכלל, יש להם
התשובות הן היו כן ולא, נכון?
היה false or true.
כן, כאילו נכון או לא נכון.
כן.
כן, נשאר רק לסגור את הקטע הזה של אחרי כל הרצאה, כדאי שנעשה את ההערכה הזאת.
יש לך רעיונות? 4, 3.
בואי נבחר 3 או 4.
טוב, אוקיי.
אני רוצה לכתוב עכשיו. כמה הוסיף לי ידע?
מ-1 עד 5?
מ-1 עד 5, כן. כמה זה הוסיף לי ידע? עכשיו, הרעיון של דיאנה זה לעשות בקבוצה, זה כאילו זה נכון ולא נכון. לא נכון כי את תביני מי ענה מה, וזה לא טוב, זה לא יהיה כאילו כזה אנונימי. אז יכול להיות
לא, אז בגלל זה זה
לרצות
יותר
אותנו.
עניין של עמדה. זה עניין של, עכשיו השאלות שמעניינות אותי עכשיו זה עמדות.
לא, את מבינה מה היא הציעה? לעשות את זה בוואטסאפ.
כן.
לבחור, כמו שעכשיו את רוצה מיום שני, שלישי, רביעי, כאילו כזה לבחור, אבל את יודעת מי ענה מה.
כן, אבל גם בשאלון הקודם שהיו אמור להיות כאילו אנונימי, אני ידעתי.
כי היא העבירה לך, אבל אנחנו לא, זה לא העניין שלנו.
אז איך לעשות את זה?
שזה יהיה אנונימי, יהיה להם יותר ככה חופשי, את מבינה? לענות בחופשי.
כן, אבל אני לא יודעת איך לעשות את זה.
את מעבירה את השאלון, שהם דיאנה או מאיה, לא יודעת מי הבחורה שם, המלאק, מעבירה להם, והיא נותנת לך תוצאות, ושתגיד להם שזה אנונימי, שזה לא מועבר אלינו מי ענה.
הבנתי. אז איזה...
או שאת יודעת מה, שזה יהיה נניח בנייר, שהן מסמנות, אבל גם אחר כך הם יצלמו
בואי לא נפחד מהלא אנונימי, כן אנונימי.
לא בשבילנו, זה לא בשבילהם. את יודעת שאני רוצה שזה יהיה אמיתי.
כן.
כי אם את רוצה אם אני אדע שאת יודעת שאני זאת שעונה, אני הכי, את יודעת, לעשות אותך עד הסוף. אבל אם זה יהיה אנונימי, ושוב, הייתי עושה את זה ממש אחרי ההרצאה, לא לחכות לעוד 10
כן, אני אעשה את זה עכשיו,
ולשאול על מה היה.
זהו, אני מנסה לחשוב, אבל טכנית איך לעשות את זה.
קודם בואי נבחר את השאלות ואחר כך נדע. מקסימום יש לנו זמן, או שהם יציגו לנו.
באיזו מידה התכנים...
זה הוסיף ידע.
לא הוסיף, באיזו מידה התכנים התחילו לשנות את העמדה שלי. שינוי עמדה, או איזה נושא הכי דיבר אלייך וחידש לך?
לא, זו שאלה פתוחה.
נכון, אני צריכה שאלה פתוחה. נכון.
את יכולה בסוף להוסיף הערות, כאילו, משהו שהם ירצו בכתב.
אני יכולה גם איזה נושא, ה-AAP, הקוד, לא יודעת. אוקיי, אז תשאלי עוד שאלה.
אז כמה זה הוסיף לי? אני תמיד ככה מוסיפה בשאלונים בהערכה, כמה זה בסוף. שני דברים, אחד בכללי, כמה אני נותנת ציון להרצאה, וגם כמה הייתי ממליצה לאחרים שישמעו את הנושא הזה, לקולגות, את יודעת. ועוד משהו חוץ מזה שחידש לי, גם על צורת העברה, כמה זה היה ברור, כמה זה היה מתאים מבחינת זמן. يعني האם זה היה מרתון כזה, רצנו עם החומר.
אוקיי.
זה יותר לתהליך, להעברה שלך. והכי כזה שזה אם חידש לי, וכמו שאת אמרת לא חידש לי, מה את אמרת? לא חידש.
אם זה הניע איזושהי מוטיבציה.
כן, הוסיף לי ושינה אצלי את העמדה כלפי
כן, אוקיי, אני אנסה לכתוב משהו ואני אשלח לך.
מה היית מציעה לשיפור?
אוקיי.
שזה גם משהו בכתב, כאילו לא...
אוקיי, אז זה כן, אז זה לא יכול להיות אנונימי, אבל לא חשוב. אני אכתוב שאני רואה בנו צוות.
למה זה אנונימי? זה יועבר איך קוראים לה מלאק, נניח זאת הראש צוות שלהם, שהיא תסכם לך והיא תעביר לך סך הכל, בלי שמות, שזה ענה ככה וזה ענה ככה. זה עוד אופציה.
אוקיי, אני אכתוב משהו, אני אשלח לך ואני אשלח אחר כך למלאק.
כן, אבל צריכה היום או מחר.
עכשיו אני עושה את זה, עכשיו. בסדר.
אוקיי, יאללה, ביי ביי.
ביי, להתראות.
ביי.
מה שלום אמא שלך?
היום אנחנו בצפיפות עצם, בגלל התרופה שהיא מקבלת.
כן, כן.
לי לאוסטיאופורוזיס, אז צריכים לעשות הערכה מחודשת.
בפוריה?
וגם התרופה שהיא מקבלת, אז כאילו יש חשד שהיא תופעות לוואי, יש מצב שתעשה אוסטיאופורוזיס. זה איפשהו ליד כנרת, לא יודעת, לא בבית חולים. ליד טבריה, אבל לא יודעת, משהו,
תעברו אחר כך
מושב או
דרכי.
משהו.
תעברו אחר כך דרכי.
קדרים? לא הבנתי.
כן.
זה הצד השני, לא?
גם מקדרים אפשר להגיע לרמת הגולן.
אבל אנחנו נגיע לטבריה, למה אני אגיע לקדרים? לא הבנתי.
כי טבריה היא בצד המערבי של הכנרת, קדרים היא בצד המערבי של הכנרת. רמת הגולן זה אחר כך את חוצה למזרח, גם מטבריה תצטרכי לחצות למזרח.
אנחנו לא עוברים ליד קדרים.
אני יודעת, לא חשוב, בסדר. בהזדמנות.
יאללה, נתראה ביום שלישי.
יאללה, ביי ביי. את רוצה, דרך אגב, לילה, את תרצי שאני אעבור איתך על הדברים? לקראת שלישי, כי אנחנו קבענו לשבת, אבל פתאום נזכרתי שבעצם את ההרצאה הראשונה את מעבירה עוד יומיים.
אנחנו עברנו על זה.
סבבה.
אני ואת עברנו על כל החומר שלי, אני פשוט רק, יש דברים שתרגמתי בסוף לערבית המיקרוביום.
אוקיי.
והשלושה ימים, גם עברנו על זה.
אוקיי.
את מוזמנת תמיד להעיר לי, מעכשיו אני אומרת לך.
אני לא אבין את זה, אבל...
את תביני ועוד איך, כי את מכירה את החומר, ואיפה שאת רוצה להוסיף, תוסיפי, אבל זה מאוד חשוב באמת שמישהו יהיה עם הזמנים, שיגיד נניח בעוד חצי שעה, לא 2 דקות לפני הסיום, את מבינה? זה נראה לי, אם דיאנה הזאת קיבלה את התפקיד הזה על עצמה, אז נגיד לה את זה, שחצי שעה מראש להגיד, נניח, שאפשר לך עוד חצי שעה.
כן, בסדר גמור, כן, 100%.
יאללה,
אחלה, יאללה, ביי יוש, ביי, תודה.
ביי ביי.